Everybody. So, wow, what another revelation. And I'm telling you, I am a little bit tired, but I'm okay. I'm tired, but I have energy. It's kind of that weird duality that I'm dealing with at this point because of oh gosh, when you have an aha moment or you come upon something that's just so like, oh my God, and now you have to put it all into words. And it's like, holy crap, which I've been doing the last couple days. But yes, thermodynamics. Okay. Now, and I've heard of talk about thermodynamics, how it's being used. What is thermodynamics? Thermodynamics is an aspect or a branch of physics. Okay. And it's how heat and energy and work influences biodiversity and matter and objects. And so the first law of thermodynamics is that energy can never be created or destroyed. It can only be converted. Okay? And so, really, survivability in this aggressive, energetic climate is how are you going to use the energy? And then, how does your body utilize energy? Okay? And so, imbalances are how the body is either not utilizing the energy that you're giving it because of permeability in your gut, as well as how much energy you have stored that's not being used. Okay? And then it just kind of collects without it being distributed to different places in your body. So this is what obesity is when you have so much energy stored up, but you're not utilizing it correctly. And so this is why chili juice is so important, because salt is energy. But it's not just salt. It's also what salt is being paired with, which is basically the nutrients, the cabbage and the kale, and then of course a diverse food supply with no food discrimination. And so this whole thing with evolution and the COVID and all the different bacteria, all the different things in your environment, like the viruses, like microbiome, the viruses, the parasites, the protozoa, proteins, fungus, and bacteria, they all part of the microbiome, and how you utilize that energy will be relative to your a life that is shortened or a life that is prolonged. And so telomeres is based upon how your body utilizes energy. So when you have a shortening of a telomeres, it means that your body is disintegrating because it is not getting access to the energy that it desperately needs. Why is that? Because of permeability, leaky gut. When you have a permeable gut, it means you are wasting energy. Now it's coming to the second law of thermodynamics, which is energy is not being used correctly. It's wasted energy. And so, yes, while antibodies do play a part in the energy of the body, okay, because when you have a lot of antibodies that are doing a spy bot search and destroy, it's taking away things. It's like minusing, subtracting things, as well as adding things. So there is a whole imbalance with antibodies when your body is suffering from either too many antibodies, which is an agonist antibody, which is almost like an oxymoron. What the hell is an agonist antibody? It's basically promoting life. But what is that life? It's tumors, because you're getting a coagulation of life in one area and it's not being distributed balanced, properly. And so then you have the taken away, which is the spy bot search and destroy, where you're programming the antigen in your immune system, which is underneath the lymphatic system, where it is then going after life. And that's where the cancer therapies come from, is where they're taking the proteins from that evolution, from that viral protein, which is data, and it's looking for the cells that are being influenced by that viral protein, and it's doing a search and destroy, which means that you are actually, you're not evolving, and then the autophagy and the antibodies that you also have that are also taken away is taken away, but you're not regenerating. You're not utilizing the energy correctly to regenerate cells at the micro level, or you're causing more imbalances, which is then causing more strain to your vital organs. So energy really is the crux of why a body disintegrates and why the body will stay alive for however long you apply the proper energy, and then you're able to utilize the energy correctly. And so this is why I say you guys got to get off the activist train, because you are actually misusing your energy and you are wasting your energy, especially if you're not doing J juice, because J juice then seals and makes your gut impermeable, so it's not releasing the energy that you need, and you're able to maximize absorption to where you're able to take all the energy that you're able to get and it's being distributed correctly, and you're also utilizing that energy correctly to where you have a balance. So that's why my dog will never ever really be fat, because she has a good balance of how she utilizes her energy. She's not full of anxiety. She doesn't need to go run every single day to go and run off energy that's accumulating because of imbalances. She eats relative to her lifestyle. So she's able to keep a balance of a perfect dog body, and she doesn't need to do anything extra, and she self feeds based upon how she utilizes energy. Okay? So when people are, you know, pissed off at the world and they're railing against everything and they're attacking me and they're attacking everybody else and demonizing, that's wasted energy that you could be actually redirecting towards yourself to regenerate cells. But people aren't doing that because they're afraid of their own evolution, which is they're afraid of cell regeneration because it's painful. Pain and evolution is energy. But once you get to a certain point where you're balanced to where you're able to utilize the energy that you take in and also release it properly, your ability to adapt will not be as hard as it is for somebody else who has not utilized their energy correctly. And they have imbalances, whether it's obesity or whether they're so underweight that they cannot at all take on the energy to regenerate their cells and then prolong their life and then lengthen their telomeres. It's all down to energy, thermodynamics. And so, yes, antibodies, promoting antibodies, agonist antibodies creating life, as well as taking away life, and then the autophagy, which is this disassembling of the mutated cells. That's what autophagy is. But if you're not absorbing the proper amount of energy, then those cells that are being disassembled are not being replaced simultaneously, which is why you're seeing the disintegration process. And so this all makes sense. Now I understand. And so when you look at both the papacy, the Pope, and the Catholic Church, and the Freemasons, it's still a duality of good and evil, evolution versus de-evolution. And they haven't, as far as I know, I could speculate they figured out indefinite life, but I don't think so. But you never know. I don't know, because how would you know if somebody regenerated cells on the micro level? Because you don't know their history, you don't know where they came from. All you see is a person and what they put out there, but you haven't followed them ever since they were a child all the way to then. And even before that, where did they come from and who were their parents and all that stuff. So I can't even speculate that the esoteric knowledge knew about cell regeneration at the micro level to where they can keep regenerating. I think that people back then or whenever were able to take people's sex cells, okay, from meiosis and go and implant a sperm or an egg, and where you would have, yes, similar characteristics in the population, which be like doppelgangers. But do I really think that someone has figured out cell regeneration where they're reversing the aging process to where, yeah, they were aging in front of people's eyes, so to speak, like they've watched them for maybe 50, 60 years, and then they disappear as if like, oh yeah, they died. And did they do something like a jelly juice where they then reverse the aging process and then they're represented to the world in a different manner, in a different capacity? I don't know, and I could speculate, say, oh yeah, Nicolas Cage was one of those that was aging in front of people's eyes, so to speak, and then he took something that's like a jelly juice and reversed the aging process, and now he's like Nicolas Cage, not like some dude from way back in the 1800s. I don't know to what extent the amount of knowledge even in the 1800s. All I know is that we are run by two different factions, the Freemasons as well as the church. And that is the duality programming that we are dealing with at this point. However, you do get the order of the church, which is like, your man and woman, and you have the meiosis, and you have sexual reproduction, and then I'm introducing asexual reproduction, which is mitosis, continuous mitosis, which is then prolonging telomeres, which is basically, you generating cells at the micro level without having to turn to sexual reproduction to carry on your bloodline. Okay, so I don't even think the church is doing it. I really don't. maybe someone could say they possibly could, but I don't know. I mean, I know John was talking about, Manly P. Hall and Sir Francis Bacon and Shakespeare. But even then, there are people that like Cindy Crawford, her daughter Gaia Gerber or Kaya Gerber looks exactly like her, and she wouldn't be a clone because Dolly, couldn't even stand up to being a clone. So I doubt that there is an actual human clone. I mean, if there is, I'd be very surprised, but there's no way I could substantiate or prove it. So the only way I could substantiate is what's going on with me personally, and that I know that I'm like all of you. We all have the same bioenergetics or biogenetics, and so we all have the ability to create continuous or convert energy to then sustain continuous mitosis without triggering meiosis. Okay? And so it's about how you convert energy. Because yeah, when you are not utilizing your energy correctly, the body will sense that, and that's where the sex hormones or the sex cells come into play, the sperm and the egg. And that's when the period happens, and then hormones get put to surface, and the pheromones, and all the things that would then contribute to sexual reproduction. But asexual reproduction is the ability to regenerate cells on the micro level, lengthening your telomeres relative to the blueprint of the human body, and you're doing it continuously. And you're able to adapt to then the COVID and any other kind of viral new virus strains in the environment. So yeah, why people pass away from the COVID is the fact that their body's going through an evolution. And yes, antibodies are being created to destroy the old microbiome or destroy the old cells, and then supposed to regenerate new cells. However, how someone would be able to survive the COVID and not be on J juice is they have enough backup cells to handle the evolution and to help regenerate, but the amount of malabsorption relative to the absorption rate. So the malabsorption rate is faster than the absorption rate, which then contributes to then a person weakening over time due to the energy of their environment as well as their lifestyle. I mean, you could have somebody that is working their ass off and they have so much cells and so much nutrients, and their absorption rate is a little bit faster than other people's, and so they're able to not do J juice and live off the food they eat and whatever systems that are still absorbing energy. But over time, when they're not regenerating and those imbalances compound on each other, that's when you're seeing the absorption rate, the malabsorption rate become faster than the absorption rate. And that is the disintegration process. Because look at the guys and the girls that have the gray hair and the wrinkles in their face, and they're aging. You're seeing them kind of change over time, and aging, I mean, that's what we know as aging and degrading, is when your body is losing energy. It's disintegrating because the system has not taught people that if you seal and heal and heal and seal, you're able to utilize energy correctly. So, so if you're too obese and you have so many issues, you may not survive the COVID. If you're too underweight, you may not survive the COVID. So there has to be that specific balance that even a person who has imbalance could probably survive the COVID. But if they have predispositions as far as heart issues and other vital organ issues, then their ability to regenerate and repair the malfunctions in their vital organs would not be there because of the lack of utilizing the energy in their body correctly. And so that's why J juice is so important for those that understand the energizing force of salt and what it's backed up by, because it's not just triggering your immune system to release the excess, it's also regenerating simultaneously, and that's what's missing in the holistic world, which I've said before. But let's bring it to physics, thermodynamics. The first law of thermodynamics, energy can never be created or destroyed, it can only be converted. The second law is wasted energy. So what's the opposite of wasted energy? Utilizing energy correctly, and that is where the jelly juice comes in. That's why, when people are like, oh, about the salt fix, and they're like, oh yeah, the salt fix is so great, but why are people still dying? Because the salt is energizing a body that is not utilizing the energy correctly. That's why when you pair salt with anything, whether it's a mineral or a nutrient, If you have already imbalances as far as minerals, then that salt will energize that mineral and cause more imbalances, more mineral imbalances. So you have to have a right mix of stuff, and you need nutrients. That's why there's no food discrimination on the Jilly Juice, because you need every single diverse thing of food. You can't be like, oh, I'm a vegan and vegetarian, I'm all about plant based, because guess what? You might look cute for a minute. Let me tell you, there's some cute little vegans and vegetarians out there. Oh, they like how cute they are, and they're all politicizing food. But I'm telling you, it's going to be short lived, because they are lacking the ability to absorb at a faster rate than they are actually releasing, or they're or taking on. So they are releasing more than they're taking on, because they have still permeability in their leaky gut, and they're not able to take on the nutrients because they're not bringing in the nutrients. You're missing. Oh, but I'm replacing, the proteins from the meat with the plant-based protein. I'm sorry, it's not the same. It is not the same. Not in this environment. You can probably get away with that prior to the COVID, with just all the little flu strains that are in the environment prior to the COVID. But we're now in a more aggressive environment where there's political unrest. We have the elections coming up in 4 freaking days. The countdown's coming in. People are going to be stressed the hell out. And then you have the COVID, which is all these different viral proteins that are going to cause you to go to an evolution where your body is going to be creating antibodies to release the old microbiome. However, it's going to, affect your weaknesses, and it's going to try to upgrade. And if you don't have the meat proteins and all the diverse, the milk, the cheese, the sugars, and the carbs and all that stuff, you're going to waste away. I've seen people, their faces are like a shell of themselves. They don't have enough fat or meat on their bones. They are actually setting themselves up for failure when the environment becomes more aggressive than they can handle at the micro level. And they won't know it until they have an event they don't survive. Or they do survive, and they're like, oh God. And they start then discriminating foods even more. Oh, I can't have salt anymore. Oh, I'm telling you, it's insane really what people die from. So antibodies would not necessarily be everything, but yeah, if you have so many antibodies accumulating, like getting a wrong blood type, yes, that's too much accumulation of antibodies that will destroy you. But then it's also the fact that you're not able to regenerate faster than you're releasing, and so then you are disintegrating. You're wasting away. And then people are like, oh yeah, look at my 6-pack. Oh, look at how cute my little skinny body is. And I'm telling you, you're not going to have enough to withstand the environment. When it becomes too aggressive, then you'll be afraid of your friends and family who may, not wear a mask or something. And you're going to have a whole host of issues that you're not prepared for. So anyways, it's all about how to utilize energy, absorbing, and then how much to release. And there has to be a good balance of absorption and releasing. And if you're not doing J-Juice, you're going to end up like your predecessors. Just look at your parents. Cute little vegans out there. Look at your parents. All right, bye.